Manchester United need a new right wing back, and personally I think it would be best if we could look for internal solutions rather than spending a load of money to bring someone in from a different club. So if we look internally at who we've got, I think one player really stands out. Bendito Mantato could be perfect for this right wing back position. Previously in his career he has already played as a left back, he has also played as a right winger. If you look slap bang between the two of them, you get a right wing back. Ish. So before we look at this young man in terms of tactical fit, in Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3 formation, I want to focus actually on a more normal formation and focus specifically on his skill set before we talk about the tactical fit. So let's imagine him in a 4-2-3-1. What does he bring to the team? Well, first of all, as we've discussed already, it is versatility, that ability to play on potentially either side of the defence, but also more importantly for me, either side of the attack, whether that be on the left wing or on the right wing. Mantato can play in both positions. And I think what he really brings, no matter where he plays, is explosive acceleration. This is an athlete, someone who is incredibly quick over the first few yards. His acceleration is genuinely pretty amazing. What he also has though, which is really important, is upper body strength. We were talking about this recently. The ability to hold off opposition players in 1-versus-1 situations is really important. We see a lot of young wingers that are skillful, that are tricky, that can throw in step overs and deceive an opponent. But what is really important is that actually when a defender comes into physical contact with you, you have to be able to hold them off, because if not, it doesn't matter what skills you've got, if you get knocked off the ball easily, you're never really going to make it in professional football. Importantly though, for Mantato, he is good with his physical strength, he does protect himself well, and importantly, he protects the ball well as well. So if we take the two things we've spoken about so far, explosive acceleration, but also an ability to protect the ball, you're going to get an idea of where we're going next. Dribbling. Mantato is a two-way threat. What do I mean by a two-way threat? I mean someone that can come inside the pitch with the ball, or someone that can go outside of the pitch with the ball. Why is this so important? Well, because it makes it nearly impossible for the opposition fullback to try and read you, to try and anticipate where you're going to go. If you pick the ball up and you always run down the line, the fullback knows you want to go down the line, so they'll try and force you inside because they know you don't want to go there. On the other hand, if you are a player who always comes inside the pitch, the fullback is going to try and show you outside. However, when you are a winger that can do both, that can drive directly at the opposition, literally drive straight at them, and then at the last second make a decision on where you want to go, whether that be, this way towards the byline or inside towards the penalty box, it makes it so difficult for the opposition to try and deal with, because you can go both ways. And importantly, in the case of Mantato, he also brings crossing ability after doing all of that. His crossing into the box is pretty good, and again, this comes off of both feet. So not only can he dribble both ways, he can also then cross from both positions. So that may be coming inside the pitch here and crossing with his left foot towards the back post, or actually going towards the byline and sort of clipping or standing up across a little bit more with the right foot into the penalty area. This skill set is something that Manchester United lack. Someone who is direct, someone who is skillful, who can beat players and actually produce in the final third. The only question now is, does he work in a 3-4-3? Now, to give a sort of quick answer to this, can Mantato play in a 3-4-3 formation? The answer is absolutely yes, and actually I think he's one of the players who benefits from the formation change. Perhaps in a 4-3-3 I had question marks over his true ability, his true level as a winger. Where he would find himself in the first team, I found it a little bit difficult to see where he could break through into this team. However, when you put United into this 3-4-3 position, and you talk about the wing-back role, you're talking about a player who needs to, of course, still provide for you in the final third, but also needs to be hard-working, someone who is going to track back and do defensive work as well. And I think when we've seen Mantato as a winger, he has shown that he can do that. He is someone that tracks back to help his fullback. So I think he does have that engine, that work rate to play on the right-hand side of this formation. In terms of what he brings from here, he brings quite a lot. I think he ticks several of the boxes that Ruben Amorim sort of sets out when he's trying to pick one of his wing-backs. For me, though, one of the most important things is the ability to receive with his back to goal. This is something that a lot of players could not do at any point in their career, let alone this young, playing in a few different positions. But what he's done is he's sort of picked up a skill set from playing these different roles to make him a more complete player. And actually in these positions, I always find that he uses his body pretty well. Now, he can perhaps be a little bit predictable because he tends to like to sort of spin inside the pitch into the space that we create here. But in terms of at United, that could work really well, particularly if we're looking ahead to next season even. If you can imagine having Ahmad, someone like that in this position here, as Mantato spins inside with the ball, Amad could then attack the space. Now we've got room to actually drive with the ball and progress it, and this is why I think tactically it actually works for this young man to play not as a winger, but actually as a wing-back. You can see it in a moment here as the ball gets played forward into the feet of Mantato, using his body. Now unfortunately, he's actually slightly off camera at the start of this clip, so you don't see the first touch. But you can see him, first of all, dealing with the physical contact, which is really important, holding off the opposition player and kind of just dealing with this pretty comfortably. But also, because of how this ball moves, even though we don't see it on the camera, you can tell the sort of touch that he has taken. He's taken one of those spring touches that I've been talking about, where you sort of let the ball come across you receive it on your back foot, and then you spring forward again with it and spin inside the pitch. This is something that Mantato has done on this occasion here, allowing him to move into these areas. And like I said, if you can then imagine someone else making that run in behind off the ball, spinning into the space, this could make United a really, really dangerous threat with someone like Mantato on the right-hand side. Now, what's also important here, though, is not just the ability to get past your man and sprint a few yards. You know, anyone can do that. What we really need for the right wing-back is someone that can do this over 10, 20, 30 yards. We were talking about this the other day. Endurance dribbling, endurance carrying, the ability to not just beat one man, but to beat 2 or 3 men. And I think particularly at wing-back, this is essential. When you start as a right winger, you receive the ball a little bit higher initially, so you don't actually have so far to carry the ball to get to goal. Whereas when you play as a wing-back, you are genuinely expected to drop a little bit deeper into these positions to pick the ball up, but still end up all the way in the final third. So an ability to carry over a long distance is key. Now, when I'm talking about long distances, I'm talking about something like this, picking the ball up in a wing-back area where, again, you're really, really far from the opposition goal. You've got a lot of ground to cover. In terms of, if you look ahead here, there is a lot of room that this young man has to make up. But actually, he has the ability to do it. And what I love is the variation in intensity and speed, which I think helps him almost gain this extra stamina. So we could talk about a player literally sprinting 40 yards here, but instead what he does is he goes past initially, and then he slows the ball right down. He slows it right down, and he waits for this defender to come close to him. This could be a moment where Mantato is getting his breath back a little bit. He's just a moment of active recovery in the game, but also he is manipulating the position of the opposition defender. Because this defender comes towards him as he's slowed down, he then has the space to knock the ball and just absolutely burn him for pace and run round the outside. This is what I'm talking about. Endurance dribbling, picking the ball up in his own half, ending up actually in the penalty area on the final contact. That is what you need from wing-back. Someone who influences massive, massive zones. Now, for Mantato to be a true success as a wing-back for Manchester United in the first team, the area he probably needs a little bit of work is up here, actually the final product. Now, in this formation, it's perhaps not as important as if he was playing like a traditional winger, because we will have other players who can carry some of the load, you know, an Amad perhaps, a Bruno Fernandes, a Rasmus Højlund up front, Joshua Zirkzee, whoever it may be. Other people can pick up some of the load, but he will need development in this area, which is only natural for a young player. But in terms of when he gets the ball, we're going back to that skill set that we were talking about right at the start. It's the ability to go both ways, making him really unpredictable. And again, if we can imagine this as an Amad coming into this inside forward position, both of these two being able to go both ways. How many times have I spoken about this recently? The fact that United could legitimately have 2 right wing profiles on the right hand side. I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. No team in football does this. 2 wingers playing on the same side of the pitch. It is potentially so dangerous, so threatening. And again, when both players can go both ways, when they can interchange, again, it makes it almost impossible for the opposition to try and anticipate. You can see it here. Mantato picks the ball up on the back foot, and his first thought is, can I get this ball out of my feet, and can I get the ball working forward? And what I love here is how quickly he shifts. So you can see him here, tall, upright, keeping the ball in a neutral position, not really doing too much. Then his body almost sort of collapses down and left. Instantly, in a flick of a switch, he drops left. And that shoulder drop, the hips drop, that change of direction is what beats the opponent and it allows him to move into these positions. This is why he can go both ways, because he's deceptive with the ball. So initially when he picks it up, he gets you into these positions where you don't really know what way he's going to go. The defender here doesn't know which way to defend. This is Mantato almost having the opposition player on strings a little bit because he doesn't know where he's going to go. Now here he fakes to go left, he does a step over, and then on the exit of the step over, he actually uses the same foot, the left foot, to then go towards the byline and then put in the cross with the right foot. This is a player that can go both ways, and this is why I think Mantato has a genuine chance of making it into the Manchester United team. Not just next season, but pre-season, and actually towards the end of this season. Perhaps not in the massive games in the Europa League, but I think in the Premier League, this young man deserves a chance pretty soon, I would say. Pretty soon, I would like to see him either in the starting 11 or just a cameo from the bench. I think he's a really good young player, and I think he profiles incredibly similar to Bukayo Saka and Giovanni Quenda, and that's a compliment. I'm not saying he's their ability or their level just yet. Of course he is not. Maybe he never will be. But in terms of profile, it's quite similar. And we know that Ruben Amorim likes that in his wingbacks. So I think this young man will be given a chance fairly soon. And I'm looking forward to it. In terms of today, though, that's all we can talk about. So we're finished. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.